Hi, Dahlya.
Hello. Can
How
you
are
hear me?
you?
Can you hear me well?
I can hear you. I was hoping
Okay.
my head wouldn't be cut off.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I would love to hear where everyone is tuning in from. Thank you so much for joining myself and Dahlya today. So today is day 3 of the Quantum Money Healing and Miracle series. So day 1 and day 2 were with two of the guest experts who are teaching inside of the Feminine Magic and Money Mastermind. And then today I have Dahlya Brown, who's a client of mine, who's just graduated from Feminine Magic and Money and been inside of, well, all of my other containers, actually. No wonder you have the amazing results. And I wanted to bring Dahlya on because she's just finished being inside of this first round of Feminine Magic and Money. And I wanted to, hi, Lisa. Oh, I didn't know you're from San Jose. I'm from the Bay Area. JP Coyle, I apologize. The only thing I don't like about Instagram Live is I can't
Linda.
actually see people's first names. From
Yeah.
Houston, perhaps you know Dahlya. She's a Texas lady. So Dahlya just graduated from Feminine Magic and Money, and she is a really powerful brain mastery specialist and intuitive healer. Well, that's what I call you. I'm not sure that's exactly how you describe yourself. That's what I always say, because to sum up all the magic that you bring, because there are so many things. And I just wanted everyone to be able to hear firsthand, like, about Dahlya's experience, because it's been so multidimensional, right? Which is what I'm here for. And you're doing so well, and it's so exciting. And I'm just so happy to have you here today.
Oh, I am so excited to be here. I'm so excited to have the conversation with you. I have been looking forward to this, and it happened exactly in the right timing that it was supposed to. Um, yeah. So thank you for having me on.
Oh, of course. So first, I would love to hear from you, like, when you decided to join, before we get into your amazing results, just to give everyone who is here some of the highlights, because it's pretty wild. So I remember so you had been in the cohort, and then you had your first 10K month, like
Mhm.
literally you decided, and obviously joining FMM was, a big deal for you at the time. And you decided to, and it was so funny because then you like immediately closed your first 10K month. I remember that. And I know throughout our time together, you called in $22,000 in miracle money,
Mhm.
which is amazing because obviously you're building your house with your husband. You closed your first 8K client. And I'm just saying the things I remember off the top of my head. Really had start yummy, juicy pleasure overflow in your romantic relationship. I mean, there was just so much magic. And one of the really cool things as well, too, is just like the level of embodiment that you express, that you feel, and that connection to your body and to your guides and your psychic activation, which obviously all of that is carried over into your business as well. And like when we share these results, it's always so like fun and exciting. But I would love to hear kind of like where you were at when you, like, before you decided to join, and what called you to the container.
Absolutely. It's as you talk about all of the amazing results that have happened. It's so interesting because it's like, oh my God, that was me. Right? And like all of this. And I mean, I love that I love, and I just have to briefly say this really quick.
Of course.
When I was calling in the 22K of miracle money, and we'll go into that a little bit more later. But my husband and I went back and forth, and I was like, you're welcome. And like, seriously, and he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, this was all just like everything that I've been doing, and it made our life so much better. So anyways, yes, I love that you say that I'm a brain mastery specialist because my background is in neuroscience, neurology. I am a emotional healer, intuitive healer with a lot of like medical background, transitioned out of the healthcare field, and in the specialist realm in healing, helping my clients move through their trauma, their anxieties, their emotional wobbles. A lot of the clients I see struggle with hair pulling, skin picking, nail biting. I have always known that I am on this planet to do amazing things. And I went down, well, first the therapy route as a patient, as a mental health patient, and then as a therapist and an occupational therapist. And then coming into your world happened because of another client that you had, and one of my friends. And I did the cohort, which was just phenomenal because it allowed me to see my training and my background and my history, not just professional, but also personal, as a huge catalyst for moving beyond the medical model. And so when I joined Feminine Magic and Money, I mean, I intuitively know that this, like, I had to do this mastermind, and I wanted it to be a part of like the inaugural round, because that's just something that I'm like, I want to be part of the first group, because I wanted to see like what was going to happen. I also knew that I was in a huge life transitions, moving from across the country, getting married, full-time stepmom, moving out of healthcare into like coaching specialist realm. Every single change that could have happened, I did in, you know, a matter of like 14 months. And here we are, like in the new house, it's getting painted. It's just phenomenal. But I knew that I needed even greater support than what I had at my fingertips because of all of the drastic life changes. And I also knew that there was always magic and psychic gifts in my lineage. And I've always been attracted to astrology, all of the intuitive gifts. I've always used them, but I've never been a part of a group so powerful with such skilled people. And I remember sharing it with my mother because I had to tell her about it. And she and I have always had a psychic connection to each other. And when I told her what I had joined, Feminine Magic and Money, you know, she and I had these conversations about like covens and things that she had done in the past. And she was like, you know, she never followed through with anything long term because you never know if it's the real deal. Right.
What do you
And
mean?
in terms of like following magic or following psychic gifts or finding people. I mean, there's so many people out there that read cards and do this and do that. And it's like very woo. And for me, coming from the science background, I needed something that would like be able to help me combine all of this in a very tangible way that I could see applying to my real life and with my clients. Right. So anyways, that's probably the long explanation of like how I joined FMM. And as soon as it happened, yes, I found a way to do it. The finances were in the beginning like, ooh, can I do this? And as soon as I figured it out and did it, I think I closed like a 12K client pay in full as soon as I signed up for this. And so I know that like going all in matters. And so many people are scared to go all in, especially for me coming from like the mental health perspective. When you're always searching for more so that you can feel better, it's really scary to put yourself out there financially. And so that's actually something that I'm starting to play with my clients, because whenever there's mental health or emotional struggles, there's also always financial. Like they go hand in hand. And I mean, obviously, like we talk a lot about that in your mastermind. So yeah.
Thank you so much. That's really beautiful. So I'll go through by like the different categories because there were so many things that happened for you inside the container. So let's talk about money first, right? Because obviously most people come to me primarily to like feel really good and easy and flowy with money. And in the mastermind, it's feminine energy, it's money, it's healing. I mean, it's psychic activation, like the whole full spectrum of basically what goes into actually embodying feminine wealth, pleasure, magic, and magnetism. So on the money front, because you did have so many money miracles, could you tell us kind of like what your experience has been like? And also just, I mean, you went from, I know this is more cohort stuff, but you were literally doing $155 sessions, and now you just referenced closing a 12K client paying full. Like, we are in totally different realms of reality with money now, you know? And I know like you've really committed to this work and really been in my world for a well, not a long time in human years, but like in a coaching relationship, right? So I would love to hear like how your experience with money and learning to call it in and hold like much higher numbers has been, because it's like you were just light years ahead of when you originally came to me. And one of the cool things that I love about Feminine Magic and Money, it's like the way that you arrived here is probably like so different than anything you could have possibly imagined, because of like how mystical the container is as well.
Oh goodness. I imagine, I remember like getting packages from Australia on my doorstep, and showing my husband like what has been delivered. And when you're like talking and asking me like, how was the money? Honestly, like the first thing that's coming up to me is like,
or maybe before you go there, can we talk about
okay,
what your relationship was like with money before and calling it
okay.
in, and then like transition to like kind of
Oh,
what it was like moving in the way that we did in FMM to like where you are now,
well,
to
that's an
give
easy
people like
one.
more of a
Yeah,
sense of your journey.
absolutely. That's an easy one. I come from a very high overachieving family. All of my brothers do really, really well. My dad is a retired neurologist, so everything is based in like we work hard for our money. It doesn't grow on trees, or the like, like all these sayings, all these things that we believe that we start to embody and then believe about ourselves with money. So it's like for me, I believed that I had to see honestly like, oh my gosh, so many patients in order to achieve a certain amount of money, and I had to hold it really tight. I couldn't just let it flow, even though I believed in the flow. It was really, really scary. And I feel like it's like so many other things out there. Money is just another topic, but it's such a really big, important topic because it provides opportunity and it provides resources. And so for me, like prior to honestly being in your world, money was, I could make it really, really well, but I had to work my ass off. And I had to, this was the old paradigm, in the masculine energy of like the 9 to 5, I bring my work home with me, overworked, underpaid, like the whole story, especially like the old therapist story. Oh my gosh, so over that. Because it doesn't, I mean, it's exhausting. Even when I talk about it in my body, it doesn't feel good. And yet we sign up for that because we're told that's what we're supposed to do, right? I mean, just all of it. And so moving into a feminine flow of money, yes, we have to have those masculine structures to help us feel safe and run our business, which is what the cohort is for. But we also, when we embody the way that money can feel inside our body and have like orgasms thinking about money, and that's where I was going originally, and believe that the universe, there's just an abundance out there, right? It's not the tree in the backyard that is like dying because we have like overspent ourselves, right? It is actually like a universal flow of abundance that has the opportunity to flow into us. And doing all of these embodiment rituals, I've always done them for mental health. I never applied them to financial abundance. And that was how I really shifted. That's
So
on you, not
sorry.
me.
Can you? I know. I mean, I can't control it, which is why I like to do my things in the evening right now. Of course, they're like right outside my window. I'm like, thanks. Oh, yes, but I love what you just said, because I always talk about being able to feel money in my body. Like I know when it's coming, and everyone is like, "What are you talking about?" Or being able to feel money as an energy, because it's just an energy, it's just a frequency. And so much of the work we do inside of Feminine Magic and Money creates a space and gives you that like felt sense of abundance, like from the inside. So you start to actually understand what money feels like. And when you can understand what money feels like totally separate from like what you own and what you have in the material world, but just the frequency of money, you attract it with so much ease, because that is how, when people talk about being a vibrational match for that which you desire, when you can feel the desire, not just like wanting, but actually like feel it as like an energy, you know, that's why we do so much womb work and yoni work and heart space work and all of these like energetic activations and healings and clearings and all the things, to be able to like get you vibrating at such a frequency where you're like, oh, I get it now, I feel it. It's really powerful, like transformation to have.
It's so powerful. And what's really, really fun is that, I mean, everything that you just talked about with money is how I also see like emotional health. Like that's where I see they go hand in hand. And you mentioned something that I think is really important and profound to bring up, which is not wanting it because we need it and it's like a dire like because that's restrictive. It's actually the transition, and I went through all these different phases in, you know, FMM, the transition from like doing these things, doing the embodiment practices out of a like need to feel
like
safe,
trying to get to
right,
a destination,
like you're right, like intentional manifestation versus flowing and allowing it to come, because it's going to come in these cycles and these emotional waves and the energetic waves that we can feel inside our body. And then it's not forced and it's actually more manifested. But we also have to have those masculine structures to support this part of the flow. And that was one of my things, is me coming from the background of like being an artist, and like I love flow. I can get lost in flow. And I know that's something that I brought up in FMM because that was always something that I was kind of scared of, was getting lost in the flow of it, like it feeling too good. And then like losing some of that structure, which again is also like that old paradigm that doesn't really serve us. Like we can actually have it all when we are well supported in all the different ways, but it starts inside our body. So many people look outside ourselves, and that's why we hire coaches. That's why we hire people to help remind us and teach us how to embody that, so that we can show up over and over and over and over, and then like you say, like live in that quantum field, right?
Yeah.
Because it takes practice and it takes guidance and it takes like what the F just happened? Like, right? And
well, because you don't know. So I always say, and I was saying this in my conversation with Phoebe, that like playing in the quantum space is basically learning how to live in the void, right? So like we're like living in the void, like what's going to happen? What does that mean? And we intentionally, you know, take you through the way we take you through in Feminine Magic and Money, so that you learn how to, it's basically like learning how to live a completely new life.
Yeah.
And move through life a completely different way than anything we've ever learned before. So it feels very mysterious, and part of it is very mysterious. But I always say, well, if you want quantum results, they're not linear. You want to receive in these rapid numbers and like at the volume, like for example, that you did. It's not because you like did all these specific 3D steps. It's because of you were doing the 3D things, right? For example, like if you have a business, you do have to take action in the business. We just want to be taking like smart action that doesn't exhaust us and come from a place of alignment. But everything after that is like, it is kind of like magic, you know, because we do so much work to like activate your voice, activate your heart space. Like I was saying, activate your womb, actually get you in touch with felt pleasure. I feel like people hear pleasure and we think like just a bubble bath or just sex, or, you know, there's like these very specific ways we think about it. And I always think of pleasure as actually like a frequency that's running through your body that you can that you can create on purpose. And then when you learn how to create it on purpose, you're just so much more magnetic, because I always talk about money as masculine energy, right? Because of how it feels when you have it. It's stable, it's supportive. Your feminine gets to go like, whew, right?
Yeah.
So we actually have to like create the polarity with that frequency, which means we want to give you the like the embodiment of like receiving with ease, basically. So everything we do is to get you into that place. And the reason it feels so good is because our feminine just does like to feel relaxed and feel good. We just won't know how to like take her there intentionally, other than doing the obvious, like, oh, go on a vacation, go do this, go do that. But like, that's not like, this has to become like how you live, not like the 5 vacations you go on a year. You know, it's literally like we always talk about switching paradigms. And because you were talking about it in relation to the emotional space, I feel like that's really powerful. Obviously, like, you know, you have a history with depression, you have a history with your own mental health journey and hair pulling. I mean, you've really addiction, like you've really navigated some really powerful waters. And I think an experience that you had that honestly every single woman had inside the container was having these really difficult times come up and then being held through navigating them to where things don't sit with you for months anymore.
Oh.
It's like, oh my God, I now have the tools and you receive the guidance. Because like what I love about FMM too is because I'm so intimately there. It's like I get to help you real time and be like, hey, go do this, this, and this, or like, this is what's actually going on. Because, you know, we get in the trauma cloud and we can't see anything.
Right.
And you guys were also great about just being like, okay, noted, done, moving forward, whatever we need to do. But can you talk about that? Because I think that's one of the most wildly powerful shifts is being able to move through your BS so much faster and then literally alchemize and transmute that energy to create the desire, because there's always like a manifestation, a miracle, etc. on the other side of that, because you're learning, when we talk about playing in the quantum, you're learning how to play with energy and move your emotions and use magic, right, and all these fun things we do to activate the energy in ways that like what basically none of us had ever done previously. And you had like the felt experience inside the container.
Oh, there's so much that you said that like, oh yes, I'm not taking any notes right now. And I'm like, I should be writing some of this down. Something that you're mentioning is that like also the experience of moving through situations or trauma or challenges or emotional wobbles or whatever comes up, relationship, family, moving through it quickly is, I think, what we are all here for now. And I think that's the shift in the paradigm. And what I want to say about FMM is that like, I love the length of time. It's one of the reasons that the programs that I offer for my people are a minimum of 4 months, is because we have to have that hand holding, right?
Oh,
It is the superpower of asking for help and asking for guidance, but it's up to us to also show up and be like, this is what's happening. And to be able to move through with such a powerful group of women, getting guidance from all sorts of different angles, that really, truly, I mean, moving people through, because I'm experiencing this with my own clients, like it's happened all week actually, is it would have taken months, like weeks and months to move through different situations that came up for me previously if I was just going to like a once a week therapist, which is the normal paradigm. And being in something like this allows us to truly like move through it in days, sometimes one night, and watching other people move through their own stuff as well, not just my own, gave the confidence and the freedom and the space to show up, be super crazy vulnerable and very, very real and authentic, and then to hear and get the guidance and be like, you know, go listen to this podcast, go read this book, go do this practice, right? And go journal or whatever, and come back and let's see like what has like happened. And 120%, yes, I always talk about like when we are low or moving through something that is hard or perceived as hard that in the past would have taken weeks to months, that has honestly, I mean, here's the magic of it. It has the ability to actually move somebody into a very deep depression for an extended period of time where it completely disrupts their life. Or we can show up like this, move through it in days, and move through the highs and the lows to get back to the high of like, oh my God, so this is what's on the other side. And each time it happened, it was like a whole new like up leveling for me personally, where it's like I could feel like the crown on my head, and like, I mean, just like, and like the wings growing, and like the psychic gifts getting even stronger as we move through those things that have the potential to really hold people back. And that's powerful.
It is powerful. And to that end, because it's so much of the healing. And I remember having you revisit, I think it was like a cord cutting ceremony. I mean, we were together for 5 months, so there was a lot of things. But I would love to chat about too on the healing front, because there's so many interesting things that we do. Like I remember we did, and for me, I just lead based on like where you're at, as do all the other women in the container and what's coming up. But like, you know, we would do so like the cord cutting ceremony we did. I remember we had like a really powerful Lemurian DNA, cellular DNA activation that channeled through me that we needed to do. Obviously, there's the other healers in the container as well. And I just find that part of the work the most mystical part, but it's so powerful. I remember during your bonus call where like you're with me, where your past life came through, and we took you basically into your past life to give you better sense of grounding and vision and understanding of like some relationship dynamics that were feeling difficult in this life, so you could understand like what everyone was here for and move forward. And this is like the witch part of the work, you know? So could you share with everyone what all of that was like for you? Because that, a lot of that is what creates these really powerful rebirth experiences and remembrances of who we really are that kind of like activate literally this cellular DNA within us that's been asleep, that like turns us on in a whole new level in life. And like, you never go back. Like once that's activated, it doesn't go away.
It's so funny. Now that you bring it up, I forgot about like our one-on-one. That whole relationship totally transformed after that session, by the way. And I'm just now realizing it, which is fantastic. Like just not having the energetic space to like buy into somebody else's bullshit.
But isn't that wild? Like to give perspective, like this was something that had been plaguing you for months. And it's like, we had one healing around it and you're like, oh yeah, it's transformed. This is how, when I talk about quantum healing, like this is what I mean. I just think I love to have examples so that everyone can understand.
So, you know, it's so interesting because it's like, I mean, I've done therapy for years, my own, right? Like just coming from the background I have. Nothing holds a candle to the ability to have, like, I think you're looking for like concrete examples, and I can't like.
Oh no, you don't have to give concrete examples.
Good,
like this is
I'm
going
like,
on my life, and then we healed it, moved on. I just meant the experience of having kind of this more like medicine woman style healing of receiving it. You know, like when I talked about like the DNA activations we did, like the cord cuttings, the revisiting your past lives, and all the things that we did inside the container, because it's so different than what people have experienced in the healing world. But it also led to these quantum results for you, not only financially, but also emotionally, and like things that you're carrying, like no longer being relevant anymore.
Every single time. And I think that's what is so important for people to hear and to know, is that like, it doesn't have to be, okay. I'm going to say like, I don't want to say like hard or easy or like, because it's not, it's still emotional. It is still super crazy emotional with like tears and feeling it all over the body. I'm not going to say that like, it doesn't mean that it's not like hard.
No, but that's what makes it powerful.
Right.
But the point is just that like we get to the other side
and we
we're
get
like
there so much quicker. Yes. Yeah. We get there so much quicker. And just like, like being able to cut the cords. And not only that, like, here's the thing, like on the receiving end, and I think that's what's so great, especially like coming from like the healthcare professional healer perspective. So many people I know don't invest enough in their own healing. And for me to be able to like be on the receiving end of releasing and moving through also gives me the opportunity to show up even stronger and much more powerful for myself, for my family, but then also for my clients, right? I mean, we're all here for a purpose. And for me in particular, I mean, and I know like the most interesting thing happened the first time for this week. I actually channeled some generational people who had passed with one of my clients. And it was, I mean, I can't, well, there's no science to explain what happened, which I love the science, and there's no science there, except that like I felt it all over my body. It was so obvious what was happening and the healing that happened on the other side with my client. Like, that is what I got to experience in your energy in FMM. And I can't, like, I just can't explain it.
It's like you can't put words into it, but it's the most powerful, potent, like, it's like when you open your eyes when it's over, you're like, what the fuck happened?
Seriously, that's what I said to my husband. Like, he came home from work and I'm like, I got to tell you. I'm like, this just happened. And I'm like, I don't even know. Like, all I know is like it was real. And my client was like, oh my God, I feel so much lighter. And I'm like, holy shit, that was me. But it wasn't me, but it was coming through me, right? Like, that's what has happened on the other side of FMM.
Oh, you mean you even being able to do that for other people?
Yeah. Like,
yeah, because you experience, and that's what I'm saying when I talked about that we literally activate your cellular DNA and your past lifetimes and your past abilities. Because I think it's that people think about healing as only basically like trying to clear the stuff, right?
right.
And one of the things that I love about quantum healing is, so one, and you had this experience, like we are able to look at your present life, your past lives, and your generational trauma, but we don't even have to talk about it. It's like,
I know.
literally, you can't, like, we are all channeling what you guys need when you need it, take you through the healing. And then for some wild reason that, again, science can't explain, everything gets addressed at the same time. And like, of course, different parts of it in different phases, like we're together for a certain amount of time for a reason. But I think that's why the transformation feels so strong on the other side, is because you're not getting dragged through every single memory, needing to know every single thing that happened in your lineage. Obviously, we don't know all of our past lives, but we're still but we're like a living library of them. And so there's something about these frequencies that channel through people like me and the women that I lead, that I have in this container, where it's like, it just comes through us what needs to happen. And then you guys have these powerful rebirths. And then also, you're not just clearing. An important part of the work is literally you have to fill the space with something new. Yes. So people will spend a lot of time trying to clear out. But then think of it, then you're just kind of like this empty cup. And the reason that, like, you know, my energy is so activating and a lot of my work is focused on activation is because we need to channel and like basically code you with new codes for now that you have this space for what you actually desire. Because that's what also creates, hi Lydia, that's what creates the actual coming forth of the manifestation and the magic and the miracles, is literally like the coding. And this is why I love, you know, we would talk about like Lemuria and the Palladians and all these things. And you don't, like, all that channels through me, and I never even studied it. Like, it was other healers telling me after the fact, like, when we listen to you, this is like what you're channeling, you know, it like, and then I would, for example, like when I went to Hawaii, remember we did our first, insane.
So good.
We had the most so good. Insane. When I took them through spells for the first time when I was in Hawaii, the divine feminine energy in Hawaii is out of this fucking world. It was so, I had to lay down after that, that session that we did. It was so powerful. But I really felt the Lemurian energy and it stayed with me. And then we did our light code activation later in the container and it felt like everyone was ready for it. And that's the kind of that's the kind of energy. And then some of it is just going to come through your body, right? Like I naturally carry the magnetism around money, which is why when women get in my world, they start making more money. It's not always what they're doing. It's just like the energetic transmission and the recoding. And that is what also creates the quantum speed. It's not just the clearing, like when we're talking about quantum healing and quantum money, et cetera. It's also the coding in of like new energies and new frequencies that literally just elevate you. And who knows, they're channeling in from all over the place, but they do. And they really elevate you to a new place. And that's why, remember, you would always be like, I have no idea what I'm feeling. Like, I feel good, but like, what planet am I on? It's like you literally start transcending into this completely different space and time. And you start living there and creating from there. And life changes a lot.
Creation changes a lot. Like and that's, I think, the beautiful part is that now like, I know, like, obviously if I need help, I'm going to ask for help, and I am, and I still am.
Yeah.
But like, for the most part, like, I know what to do. I know where to go. Like, and I think that's a real powerful piece of the mastermind, which is like coming away with so many abundance of like tools to implement and use over and over and over, so that like, and you don't have to use them over and over and over. It just becomes like you said, like a daily embodiment ritual, because it ends up feeling so good and it is so magnetic. And we just get to live from that space. And I remember at the beginning, as I was like, I don't know what's happening inside my body. Like, I mean, it was like profoundly energetic, and I couldn't explain it. And I remember you coming back and just like talking about like this quantum energy, and I'm like, I don't get it. You know? And then I would feel it again, and I'm like, oh, I think I'm getting it. And then something else would happen, like you talked about, like something would come up, like something hard, something emotional. And again, it's, you know, like moving through it, and then I feel it again in my body, and I'm like, I don't get it. And then we like reach this whole new level, and I'm like, oh, I get it again.
Well, I remember even one of the videos in the portal that I had recorded on like quantum money creation. And you told me that the first time and that you watched it, you didn't understand it.
Right. No, totally. Like you're talking, and I'm like, I feel like I'm absorbing it, and I felt like I was getting it. But then when I rewatched it, I was like, oh, I totally didn't get it the first time around or second. Like it took some time to be like, oh.
Well,
and now
this
I actually
is
want to go back
why
and
we're
re-listen.
together for 5 months, and this isn't some quick hit. I'm here to change your life for good.
Oh,
You
it's happened.
know what?
Definitely has happened.
I know. I love it. So can we also talk about too, your experience? Because this is where women are very disconnected, right? We talk a lot about, and we get into, even physically, like our yoni and our womb and our heart space, and like reconnect. Those are our powerhouse and like energy centers as women. And also the spaces where we have the deepest level of trauma, right? And we are very disconnected. We don't really learn about these areas of our body. Most women we don't even know our own anatomy barely. Like, it's frightening. Just talk about feminine wisdom being killed. And we really turn back on in a number of ways. And I just remember that feeling so powerful for you. And you would talk about how connected you felt to your yoni and to your womb. And just this deep, deep, deep. I mean, you've always been a very, you know, like you take care of your body, you exercise, like you've always done the things that like people just tell you to do to take care of yourself, right?
Right.
And for your mental health and that whole
Right.
thing, and dancing and like, you know, but this is a totally different level of intimacy with yourself and like turning back on and actually being able to feel desire. That's another thing that I love, when women can actually learn to activate, to be able to feel the desire from those areas of your body, which is also really magnetic, and you just feel really fucking sexy and really good. And you just feel reconnected to your actual like feminine essence and feminine core, because you are. You know, what was that like? Because you would always talk about it. It's so powerful for you.
Well, it really is. And it's so funny because like I just went, my first career was an artist, and like I just brought out some of my art, and I have a drawing behind there that I did a long time ago called Maternal Nature, and it looks like a womb, or like, you know, like the clitoris, and there's like a big breast inside. Like I've always done a lot of like female body stuff, not knowing that like I was channeling then into my art. But so what I was thinking about as you were talking was also like, what's really interesting is that when we were like moving into like the yoni exploration and the vocal exploration, like two different healers, right? Two different things. But like from my science brain, I'm like, oh my gosh, the vocal cords do totally look like, you know, the yoni. Like, I mean, it's just, there's such a huge connection, but it's so disconnected, right? Based in my science background, the medical part, I know all about like digestion and voice, but I never made that connection between like the feminine and our vocal. and how it's so connected, and it makes total sense on so many different levels. And so it's like, I love that you said reconnection, because that's exactly what I was thinking as you were talking, because this is a part that is so shut down for women in general, and even mothers like don't necessarily educate their daughters on how to access and feel good.
They don't know either. It's not even on purpose. Nobody knows.
Right. Nobody knows. So you can't teach what you don't know. But when you are, acting from a place of like true embodiment, like you said, it's not just bubble baths. Like this is like getting into the womb work and the yoni work and like the whole like internal exploration, and being okay with like bringing up like past sexual trauma so that you can move through it. So that
trauma that would come up for the mom. Yeah.
Like so many things. And when we think about like, we don't have to have like trauma to experience it in our body. I mean, even just
or like it doesn't have to be like capital T trauma.
Right.
Yeah.
Like even going to an OBGYN is very like sterile and not like embodied at all.
I'm like, get out of there. What are these metal tools? Like this is
exactly.
not
yeah. No, and so it's funny because like the first time we were like doing some yoni work and I was like saying hello, I'm like hello, and it's like I hear her and she's like, you've never spoken to me before, and I'm like, huh, I'm 40 years old and I've never talked to my yoni. But then she started talking loud and clear, especially during like being intimate with my husband, and he also was very, very open to everything that we were doing, and he was open to like me telling him everything we were doing, and he gave me permission. I'm like, are you okay if I talk about our orgasms? And he was like, yeah, that's fine.
I love your husband.
Oh my God.
He's so
oh, it's been a trip. Because like I've been in your world through the whole first year of my marriage.
Yeah. Wow. Right? Yeah.
Right. Which I think is brilliant, by the way. Yeah, because like, I'm older and this is my first marriage and we want to have a baby. And so talking about like all this womb work, and really getting in touch with like the yoni, but like have it like, oh my God, some of the orgasms that happened, holy crap. Like I couldn't have made that up. And such a good reason to just join your mastermind, because that in itself, to be that connected with your partner or with yourself if you're single, right? But it just like what it activates. Oh,
it's magic. So that, how did, I think that ties in too to how your relationship to the masculine, like your ability to just like receive and be penetrated, whether it's money, sex, love, gifts, miracle money, everything, it's all masculine energy being magnetized to you. How did that evolve for you versus like, prior to this journey?
Oh, in such a profound way, because the old Dahlya paradigm, mental health paradigm, healthcare worker paradigm, whatever, like working in like a masculine world, is receiving, but then like holding off from truly receiving, usually out of like fear, right? Like, what if it gets too big? What if it gets too big that like I can't handle it? Or what if there's like so much I don't know what to do with it, right? And so I've been able to step into this place of really receiving and truly, truly receiving and allowing that, because so many people, and I see that with my clients, is like so many people, they'll receive a little bit, but then like it feels so uncomfortable because it feels so good that they don't want to receive it. And I'm like, that's where the magic is. Like,
well, there's a lot of other shoes going to drop fear.
Right.
And most people don't feel safe to receive because our experiences with receiving weren't fantastic when we were young, or it was conditional. It's like, oh, if you're a good girl, you can have that, all that kind
conditional.
Of stuff.
Yeah.
Very conditional. So there's not a lot of familiarity with the majority of people for just like receiving and then receiving more and then receiving more and then receiving more, and it gets better and it gets better and it gets better. And so what happens is like we quickly will hit these upper limit issues. And I remember working through this with you.
Oh, it was so there.
But it's so powerful because it comes up a lot for your clients too. And now that you've watched yourself go through it, it also enables you to even be a more powerful leader, because upper limit is, that's what's going on with money. It's what's going on in love. It is what's going on in everywhere we're
with
desired to receive. That's the glass ceiling, is the upper limit issue. And that I am so well practiced and skilled at getting women like through the upper limit. So I'd love to hear like your journey. You don't have to give like, this is my upper limit and yada yada, but just like that general energy of like moving through it and like actually getting to the other side, because we will be like at a ceiling for receiving for years and not know like how to receive more.
No, honestly, like it actually triggered, and I'll be totally honest, like it triggered some of like my emotional wobbles. It triggered like some depression. It even triggered like, you know, my hand to go to my head to like look for hair pulling things. And I'm like, what is this? I mean,
oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
When in the past, like people will go to a doctor, get put on a med, or like go to a therapist, or like, you know, go to a support group or something, when honestly, it was actually me hitting my upper limit of not knowing if like if I can move past or through to receive even more.
So then you start sabotaging, which is what people do. And your version of sabotage is to return to these old habits.
Yeah.
The depression, you're not creating depression, but you know, and because you're returning to old habits, the depression's getting simulated, because it's just like this trigger back to where you used to be. It's very normal in this process.
Yes.
So you start self-sabotage, okay, and then which you shared so vulnerably and openly so that you could receive support. Of course it's hard, because when you're in it, you feel like, where the hell, I thought this version of me was like gone, and then here we are. And these are like the most powerful, you know, I would always tell you because you would be like, why is this happening? I'm like, lean into the sexy new edge. You know, like make your edges sexy, because this is how, and this is why we do so much in body work and stuff too. Because you are also learning to like work with your dark goddess energy, which is really potent.
Oof. I actually remember making that Voxer when I was just like crying tears, totally dramatic, but that's how it felt. And
it was real.
I knew it was totally real, but I knew I also had, I mean, here's the thing, like so many people will hold that in and then like go seek outside help that is just like a band-aid, versus actually like moving through it on such a profound way, and then learning how to trust you, learning how to trust the group, learning how to trust what is in my intuition to be like, this is what you need to do in order to move through it, so that you can actually move past that, you know, that upper limit that was coming into me. It was, that was towards the end. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, like it was dark. And I've even like, I've made posts about it. Like it actually created a whole new paradigm for me of like being able to receive psychic gifts, as I knew it would, but in the moment it was really hard. And I mean, it's like, I can't even explain it. It's so profound and transformational it's built a whole new level of resilience, which is what I talk about, is that like, it doesn't have to look like the dark old stuff that would like take over for decades, right? It can be something that's like an activation to look at something that is coming up, that is just another layer of the onion. It's just deeper, and it's being shown because now I'm at a place to be able to free it up, when like that was what was down there the whole time.
Well, that's the thing. People don't want to look. I'm like, well, it's there anyway, blocking your receiving. So let's have it come out.
Right. It's going to stay there.
You were so scared. You thought you were going to be depressed for like weeks, and you were fine in 2 days.
It was amazing. But it's also because I showed up. And I asked for help, and I talked to my husband, and I like moved through it, and I did what I know how, plus like all the things I learned in FMM. I mean, I pulled everything out, because like going back to meds is not an option. Living in that paradigm is not an option, not when you get to receive and live in this kind of quantum healing. Like that is not an option. Like entertaining the victim stuff, I am so past that. And I actually have very little tolerance for people who just like want to roll down that little hill. I'm like, go on your own. And I am not going to be the person to like pull you along, right? There's plenty of other people that will like, you know, you can pay to pull you along, but like, no, live in a place where it's like you want to show up for yourself more than go back there, if that makes sense. And that's
100%. That's what I'm here for.
That is why I joined the mastermind.
Say it again.
That is why I joined this mastermind, because I knew that this time frame was crucial during the new marriage, step kids, like new house, new part of the country, leaving all these old things behind. I knew it was crucial in order for me to be able to show up. And not just show up, but like, yeah, support.
I mean, life-changing. So then what about, because, you know, I also put miracles in the title. So what felt most miraculous to you about the container, or like what was unexpected? I mean, I guess probably the whole thing was unexpected, but
I have some hallmarks here.
What was felt most miraculous and unexpected to you that was also like, fuck yes?
Okay, so goddess work.
Yeah. Oshun, because Oshun is the goddess that comes to me most powerfully. So if you get in my energy, you're getting in her energy, and she's a goddess of like beauty, love, fertility. She's a West African goddess, but like she does not fuck around. And she basically transitions women from maiden to queen. And I went through my Oshun initiation before I launched the first round of Feminine Magic and Money. You guys have probably heard me talk about, I went to Miami. It was insane. There was a hurricane. I flooded the bath. And it was wild because I also made like 40 grand in 2 weeks when I wasn't working. So it was like all this abundance and all this chaos all at the same time. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then like, that's when the mastermind was channeling through to me, and I was getting my like initiation through her. Now it's way less intense, but you also like, she did very much start visiting you, which is good.
I think I flooded my husband. He's just like, you have to watch the water. Seriously, I saw like random puddles in the kitchen and the dog didn't pee. And I'm like, where the fuck did this puddle of water come from? Like, what is this? And it was, I mean, so like I flooded the house, the Old Town house, I think at least twice, both fixable. I flooded our brand new house. And I don't know if it's me or Oshun or like a whole, like, whatever.
Well, she comes through water.
Right.
That's
right.
how she shows herself.
And then like going to literally like, here's the tangible, like, oh my God, I flooded the master bathroom. And this is seriously like, we've been in this house for less than 3 months when this happened, and water's like flowing down to the first floor from the master bathroom. This was all me. And like, it's actually getting fixed right now. Drywall had to get removed, and I'm on my way to Walmart, and it just starts downpouring like hurricane style rain. And I'm like, oh, hello.
Hello. You're like, I surrender.
Pretty much. Like when I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, right. Okay. So here's the most miraculous part is the adjuster that comes in, literally, like, because we have an open plan, like I can, rationalize it all I want, but like the open platform, the walls like are all freaking attached downstairs. And so he's like, this all needs to get fixed, and this and this and this and this. And something that like the insurance company probably should have given us like, I don't know, $6,000 or $8,000. Somehow we got like $14,000. And my husband comes home. He's like, how did you do that? I'm like, you're welcome.
Magic.
Right. And that's what I told him. And he was like, you and water. And I'm like, I'm a water baby.
I love that. Well, because the 22, so some of it came then, and you'd called in additional miracle money earlier in the container,
yes,
right? Is that what amounted to the 22,000?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Then there was a 10,000 day from miracle money that came, that got put into the house, and which was not having to do with anything with my business. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, it's just, so like that profound receiving, I bring into all of the clients that I work with, because people just have no idea how abundant we can be when we do the healing that is required. And it doesn't mean you have to get into the nitty gritty. It can be like a global thing, but it's just like removing more of those layers and having the support to do that. I mean, there was so much that happened. And my group has channeled during this time, and it's like the 6-month program for, you know, hair pulling, skin picking, and nail biting. And like, this is going to be a magical container, and I'm so excited for it. And so I'm in the process right now of like, you know, in pre-sale and putting it all together. I'm about to be in pre-sale. I just, whew, so many things. So many things. I can't even, yeah.
Like I say, it's full spectrum, multidimensional. We hit every part of your life. And how was your just experience with me and the other women who are healing and leading, and obviously in the sisterhood, because that's, you know, the culmination of all of that is what creates the wild transformation. And also being in a container where you don't really have to do anything. Like, one of the things that I love about FMM, it's very different than building business. All you need to do is just like show up and lay there and like basically be taken on the journey or the exercise. Okay, maybe you have to like move your body, but like, you know what I mean? It's very much internally focused, which I also love, because you get to join the container and you have to be vulnerable and share so we know what's going on. But it is a very like leaned back space that has these wild quantum potent results. And I feel like that's really beautiful. And an act of receiving it itself is to allow yourself to invest in this space to receive it, because it's life-changing.
Absolutely. And I think that's like the caliber of the people that you have brought in, including yourself during this time, is part of like what made this so monumental, because they're people that I would never work with otherwise, that I actually didn't even know of. But to see women, so many women, being fully embodied and being honest and confident and vulnerable and just like all the different ways and showing up, like that's, I mean, if you're a woman and you don't want to live from that place, like, I don't know what's going on there. But like, how do you not want to live from that kind of place? And having, oh my gosh, like I'm like, so I still talk to like a number of the people from FMMM. We have become friends. One of them is actually going to be in my group container. Like, it's a couple of them have like joined other things with me. I think we all went through so many transitions together, and we all supported each other in such a vulnerable, honest, showing up way. It was just so profound. The support and the unconditional love and non-judgmental like place, right? With so many powerful people that stepped into so many of their gifts during this time, also gave us the freedom to be like, oh, like so many things are possible. And so watching others, and I'm thinking about one in particular, you know, watching others like move through hard stuff and come out through the other side, and then like deepen her psychic gifts. I mean, how do you not want to be a part of that?
I know. Because it's everything. It's everything in one, which is what I created it for. Because we get tired of this endless hunting, you know? And it's like, I do this over here and that over here and this over here and that over here. And we're always women who are going to be in the like self-development spaces. That's just who we are. But to be able to receive so many potent upgrades, to have real world results from them, in addition to transcending so much of your own internal stuff, and be taken into new paradigms and new heights where like you even look different after.
I know.
Like everyone does. I remember when Juanita said she went back and watched our first video and was like, oh my gosh, everyone's a different person.
I have to tell you, like the pictures that I have taken since for like branding or just pictures in general, even when I'm just like out and about with my family, it's like, it's a different person that emerged from this mastermind. I mean, it's not a different person. It's just more embodied, allowing the gifts and like clearing out the crap.
Literally. Well, what would you have to say to anyone who's on the fence about joining? Because today is the last day to join in the extended payment plan. And then Thursday, well, I don't know, actually, October 4th, whatever day of the week that is going to be the day that I close enrollment on the container until spring 20. Why do I keep getting so confused saying 2022? There we go. Yeah.
I almost wanted to do it again, honestly. For anybody who is like on the fence, I was concerned about the money. Oh my gosh, but what you receive is more than like you could even imagine. And to be surrounded with such powerful women, it's, I would just say like buckle up and like get ready, because it's a wild ride and you have no idea what can happen. And I would never, like, I would do it again. Like, I would never, there's zero regret of like being a part. Because when I think about like looking for all these different kinds of healers out there, and you never know where to go, like you've put it all in. Like, we don't have to go searching, right? And you are so like forthcoming with everything that you do, and to like to know the little intricacies that make all of us who we are, and then like how to embody more Jocelyn. Like, honestly, like there were so many times when it's like I feel like I'm channeling Jocelyn, like, you know, and I was just like, fuck yeah.
I love that. And oh, what did you said something that I wanted to build on? Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. Oh, it's also the container where like you are in my inner world the most deeply, because we're so deeply connected, and because the journey is so intimate. So yeah, there's so much more sharing of like my deep personal life and like how I move through things. It doesn't come up necessarily. I mean, I talk about, I'm very transparent, but like it's the space, and it's designed to be the most intimate with me, where we can really get into like all the nitty gritties, which also helps you understand and navigating your own life too.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
I think I love too when you can work with people at that level and not just understands like their teachings, but actually like deeply know their life in a very different way. I feel like is wildly transformative, because it tends to be that like we pedestal people, you know, or, you know, we just have them in a high regard, and it's really helpful to understand how they move through things to go as fast as they do, because we're still human.
Absolutely. And I honestly think that like for anybody who is also like wanting to apply this to business building as well, you know, it showed me how I would want to run my group, because the quantum healing, the quick healing is what we really need. And it's so out there right now. Like, it's unavoidable if you tap into it, right? I mean, it's just, I think that is just so profound.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for your time, Dahlya. And what do you have coming up, or what's available in your world for anyone who'd like to connect with you?
Absolutely. If you go to holisticmedicalhealing.com, I have some freebies that you can sign up for, but I mean, I have a 4-month program, 6-month program. What I have coming up, you know, for anyone who is moving through like anxieties and wants to combine the mind, body, spirit integration to really heal emotional wobbles, like, I'm your girl. I have a new group coming out that specifically for hair puller, skin picking, and nail biting. I also have my virtual course called The Reconnection, which really combines a lot of like the science with the woo through the chakras to truly like reconnect to a lot of those inner workings that we talked about being disconnected. And it's funny because like I also finished that while I was in the mastermind, and it just, so much of it just like got channeled through. And so that was also a beautiful thing that happened. So there's a lot of different ways.
And Dahlya, this was so beautiful. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
I will
you.
see you soon.
Okay.
Bye.